One very good thing that I hope schools can do, and I don't know how, maybe the government needs to make it a policy, but one very good thing is when children are just coming into the school, let there be some type of evaluation. That word is too heavy. It's not evaluation, I mean. I said screen, even screen, is this called screening? Because what happened was we went for the school's interview. We're changing my boys' school, and my daughter then, she was a year and a half. So she hadn't even been in school. She was born just before COVID. So she had never been in school, but we're changing the boys' school. So my boys passed the exams, and then they had to do interview. But because we're going to also add our daughter to the school, they said we bring all the children for interview. And as we were sitting with the board of directors and they were asking questions, when you come into the interview room, if you come in with a toddler, they put the toddler on a mat and there's someone sitting on the mat. And I just assume that someone is a nanny that watches over the babies while the parents are talking to the head of school. That's what I assumed. But it was that 5 minutes interview when the head of school, the board of directors, the school nurse, they were asking parents questions. And my boys were like 5 and 3. They were asking us questions. I didn't know all that period. The person that was sitting with my daughter on the mat is a special needs educator. So she was also carrying out her own interview or screening, as you call it. When we finished the interview, we left the room about going, then somebody ran outside to call us and said, please come back inside, but only come with your little girl. And we were wondering what's happening. When we got in, the first thing the head of school said was, would you like if we put your daughter in this learning support unit? And imagine a parent. See, if you're not a parent here, you might not understand. You might not really get the import. But imagine even if you have a niece that you love so much or that you look at as your own child. And I'm like, what do you mean by learning support units? I don't understand. And they were like, and they now start asking more questions. Does she respond to her name? How is her sleeping habits? Has she said anything? Does she say mama, dada? And you know what they were doing? That's such a wise thing. And I really hope all schools can do that. All those questions were the things that was now making it register in my brain that, wait, what? She doesn't answer when I call her. Wait, that's true. She has not said anything and she's a year and a half. I kid you not. There was no space in my brain that thought there was something wrong before that interview. No space. So sometimes when you see a parent, don't assume that they know, Jerry, they're just not accepting. They might not see. There were many things in my brain. It did not even click. At that point, I was pregnant with my fourth child. And it was a pregnancy that, when God said you give you Jara, even when you didn't ask. So I was still processing that pregnancy. And imagine someone telling me, can we put your daughter in the learning support unit? And they said, we're not trying to say anything is wrong, but we just noticed that she was not responding. And that's when I looked back that, oh, so that person is not a nanny. What was she asking her to do that she couldn't do? And they said, so we just want your consent. That when you resume in September, this interview was in June. She was a year and 8 months and 6 months on that day of the interview. We're just saying this so that when you resume in September, in case we notice that she's still not responding as she should for her age, do you give us your permission to put her in the learning support unit? And that day, we couldn't leave that place until we said, yes, we give our permission. Some other parents might not give that permission, and it is still not their fault. It takes a lot to process these things. It's not anyways, let's just leave it at that. It takes a lot to process it. So please, what I've said now, if you can suggest it to your different schools, that any new toddler coming in, let there be some form of screening. Don't just say we need children in our school, bring school fees. Let that first interview take place, even if it's a 12-month-old child, and let someone who has that special needs education certification or whatever, if you have a department, like, let that person be there to carry out a very quick kind of screening. because that was the saving grace that we were able to start therapy immediately. Most people, if a school doesn't even do anything about it, they might not start therapy at the earliest possible time. So thank you so much, Mrs. Mabel. Let's give her another round of applause for that. So it's just a quick, very, very quick bonding activity. And I'll just select anyone from anywhere. You tell us your name, tell us the school you work, and why you are here today, what you want to take out from today's session. Okay, I think you've spoken before at the back. Sorry, please get up. Is there another mic that we can give? Okay, I don't know where
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mrs. Fasasi.
Mrs.
Fasasi.
Fasasi.
And what did you say?
What school
Okay, I'm from
you're
STEM Center.
okay? Is that a school?
Yes, yes,
STEM center.
yes.
Okay.
And we are here to learn about autism spectrum, and I've learned a lot so far. So when I get to my school, I'll try to educate the other teachers, and I'll tell them what I've learned and how to look out for autism. Although we
Yeah.
have a policy, I think we have a policy in our school
Okay.
that cater for children with special needs.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Fasasi. Someone from this fourth, one, two, three, four, fourth row who has not spoken today. You have not spoken. You are from Role Model School.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Mrs. Shokumbi from Role Model School. So I'm here to learn more about autism awareness. Thank you.
Okay. And if you have any qualifications that you want to share, you want us to know about, so we know maybe you handle the next session. Have you spoken? It's not on. Yes,
Good
please
morning.
introduce
Good
yourself.
morning. My name is Bentley Asikia.
Your name is
Bentley Asikia.
Bethley
Asikia.
Asikia.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Temple. Presented Temple. Yeah, I
Oh.
know more
From Temple, is it Temple Prep?
Temple
Temple.
secondary school.
Okay. Oh.
Uh I know about autism. I'm here to learn more and give take it back and teach others.
Yes. Thank you. Someone from the second row. Who's our second
Um,
speaker?
my name is Miss Akapo Yabo Antonia. I'm from Role Model School. So I have the background knowledge on autism, but I'm here to learn more on it, especially what she's about how to manage class when it comes to dealing with child of decoration in the classroom. Because I
And
have
role model is very, very well decorated.
because I'm experienced that, and also when it comes to scripting, like you are not asking them there. I have one that even we are if you are having session with him, the only thing you'll be doing is rhymes, scripting, and how to put, I don't know, to like say how to put or how to manage that, and also the noise, how to environment, the kind of environment we need to have one-on-one session with that kind of.
Thank you, Miss Antonia. From this, I've not heard your voice today. Have I? No.
My name is Adiola Adefuye from Greenwood House School. So I know more about autism. So what I want to take home is to know and know the strategy, the support, intervention you can apply in school. You can apply in school, and also the intervention you can apply just like that. And what she said also about the classroom. So whenever you see a teacher, you can just educate or tell her what to do more if you see a child on autism, just like that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I forgot to ask if we have questions for Mrs. Mabel, can we write them down so we can quickly move on to the next section? Or does anyone have a question for Mrs. Mabel? Oh, we do. Mrs. Mabel, maybe we just take the questions now. Okay. Should we do it now? Or we wait till after? Okay. Okay, please just take notes. You can write it down, then we need to quickly get into the second session. Topic is creating a positive classroom, implementing reinforcers and token systems for effective behavior management. This session is by, I hope I pronounce your way. Is there a short form of pronouncing your name? Nero. I like that. This session is by Nero. Finish. Because these names, Nero is a developmental behavior interventionist with strong research interest in cognitive psychology, particularly human memory and consciousness, as well as developmental psychology and autism intervention. With a solid academic background in psychology, Nero brings several years of hands-on experience in behavioral therapy, research, training, and content creation. He has worked extensively with children on the autism spectrum, applying evidence-based interventions such as ABA, NDBI, including JASPER, DPP, which is Nurture's developmental play program, and ESDM. He has designed and delivered caregiver and therapist training programs, led research projects on autism diagnosis and the DPP, and conducted literature reviews to inform clinical and educational practice. Currently, Nero is engaged in research projects examining visual spatial. You will tell me what that means, please. Examining visual spatial working memory, parent child interaction, and the development of episodic memory in children. Areas that reflect his deepening interest in how memory systems develop, interact with early experiences, and shape cognition over time. He's also the creator of the Cognitive Nomad, a platform through which he shares insightful content on memory, consciousness, and cognitive development. The Cognitive Nomad, is that on social media? YouTube. So please look for that and subscribe. The Cognitive Nomad, NOMAD. Known for translating complex scientific ideas into engaging and accessible formats, Nero bridges the gap between academic research and everyday understanding. Combining academic rigor with practical expertise, Nero is committed to advancing inclusive developmental practices, supporting families, and contributing to innovative research in human cognition and memory science. Please let's give a warm and resounding welcome to Ogenero Anthony Honorio de Efunweze. Take it like that.
It's afternoon, right? Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Um, so don't worry, for this session, you can call me Nero. Yes, I always have a problem introducing myself, so just call me Nero. Yes, we are. All right. The research she was talking about is visual spatial working memory. And basically, I'm just looking at how children get to. So, working memory is a memory system that helps us to interact, solve problem, plan, and this interaction is actually being functioned by working memory. The fact that you can have a conversation, the fact that you can remember ideas. If I ask you 1 plus 1, it happens in working memory. So I'm looking at visual working memory, but in the terms we call it visual spatial working memory because it encompasses both visual system and spatial organization. So that's why it's visual spatial working memory. The DPP, myself and Mrs. Mabel, and we are still working on that, so that's still on. And I think she mentioned something about play program, parent play research. We're also working on that, myself and Mrs. Mabel. And the one I'm doing on my own, no, she's not. She says she will not join me. Is episodic memory. So I'm basically working. I'm actually researching on your personal experiences. Those memories you sit down and you think, that time 10 years ago, all those things. But I'm looking at it in terms of how children develop. You know, be, I don't know if anyone has heard of infantile amnesia. So does anyone remember anything that happened when they were one? No, two, three, three. Your own is stronger. Four, five, five. Okay, that one is normal. So at least that's infantile amnesia. So the fact that you can't remember things that happened earlier on, so I'm looking at that and trying to, collate a lot of research in that area. So apparently, when they said I will be giving talk, I was excited, and I went to do a lot of research. I said, these people must learn. They will learn, and at the end of the day, I got my email to tell me about my session, and they said I will only talk for 1 hour. I said, Domo, these slides will not do. I have to cut the slides. I have to cut it. So now I will just give you the things that are very important. Mrs. Mabel was talking about behavior. She mentioned the children that can scream. So let me give you from my own experience. And then she mentioned about a child who would smell food and would not eat, Abby. Yes. In my own, I have a child who, if he does not hear crank, 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 he will not eat the food. So it implies that the food must be crunchy. Exactly. Right? And then in my experience, I've also seen a child who, two people is a crowd. And it depends on the space too. Right? So maybe in this space we can have like three, but then close to him, one person, not two people. It's a crowd. To the extent that the very first day I saw him, there was someone already with him, and then I bent down to greet him, and he was like, ah, and I was like, no, here. I had to move back because two is a crowd. And then there is a peculiar case. If you are not a woman, he will not like you. That's a peculiar case. You know, that's very good. Although that's my guy. We are all men of culture. Yeah. So first we want to understand behavior. First, we want to understand behavior. So, what is behavior? Anyone wants to give any rough definition of behavior? I will call you. The man among women. Let's go. Okay, you have one. All right, let's go. Any rough definition of behavior? What's behavior?
For me, I think behavior is anything any human man can do.
You said?
It's anything a man can do.
Okay. So he said anything a man can do, right? Yes, okay. Any other definition of behavior? And that's actually a very good definition of behavior. And it's basically action or activity. When we look at behavior, it's basically action or activity. And whenever we are talking about behavior, we wouldn't talk about behavior. Oh, my slides are up. As Mrs. Mabel's one was not working, so I was like, I would, you know. So when we're talking about behavior, we are looking at what you do. So the reason we are all here today is there was an invite sent, right? And then maybe I don't know how it works in schools, but maybe the school was like, Mrs. A will go, Mrs. B will go, you will stay in your house, Abby. And then in my own case, they said I should do a slide, and I did it, and I'm here today. So the reason I'm here standing before you is because I got an invite. And whenever we are talking about behavior, it has stopped working. Hey. And whenever we are talking about behavior, we never look at behavior on its own. Let's move on, please. We look at behavior with its components. Yes, with its components. And we don't, everyone is snapping picture. So whenever we're looking at behavior, we always look at behavior in its components. We always, and if we're looking at behavior, we have three other things that we would study, especially when we're talking about the behavior of a particular child, or if we're talking about classroom behavior. And we have antecedents, which is the first one. And as you are looking at it, someone should just tell me what antecedents are. Antecedents.
Um, Antecedent is what happens before a behavior. That is the
Before a
trigger.
behavior, do I have marker or do we have a board that can be here? No board, right? Okay. So, Miss Victoria, this is group A, this is group B. So as the answer question, you give, you know, you give star. So the group that has the most stars at the end of my session, maybe will answer you. You say? So the group that answers the most question will eat rice. And the group, that doesn't answer question would have water. But this group is very few, so I will need like two people to join them here. But basically, antecedents are everything that um, drive behavior, right? It is that which occurs the behavior that leads the behavior to emerge. Like an example of an antecedent will be the invitation we all got. That's an antecedent. Clap your hands. And what is the antecedent? The instruction, right? And what was the behavior? Very good. And say good job. And that's the mommy. You've done training. Okay, you are doing expo. Okay. So that's the consequence. The consequence is everything that maintains a behavior, right? So who remembers when we are young, there is that uncle we want to greet because every time we greet him and if we dance for him, we bring something and give us Abby. And then there is that other uncle that when we see him, like from afar, we'll be like, hello. We don't want to go because nothing will come out of his pocket, true or false. So the reason we are behaving like this to this uncle is why? Because there is that something in his pocket. So over time, and to the extent that even when you grow older, your reactions towards that towards that uncle is relatively the same. That implies that there has been a lot of pairing with your behavior and his response, right? You every single time you greet him, he's like, "Oh, mommy." Which other one again is there in Yoruba? In Igbo, just tell me. I don't know these languages, but he's always greeting you. There is that positive reaction to your greeting, as opposed to the uncle that would ask you, "Hey, this your result. What did you score?" And nobody wants to be asking. Nobody wants to answer a question relating to result, especially if you did not pass. Anyway, so that's the model of understanding behavior. And this is very important because it is necessary for us to understand behavior in its context, that is the antecedents, and we look at the behavior and the consequence because we are going to use it to understand the function of behavior, which is why children do what they do. Why do they do what they do? The child that is screaming, the child that is which other one? The child that is hitting his head on the wall, the child that is flapping his hands, the child that is biting. We have plenty. Oh. And a child like Mrs. Mabel said that is spitting, that kind. So why are these children doing what they do? And that's why we need to understand this model of behavior. Yeah, function of behavior. And typically, Skinner identified four functions of behavior. The first one we have attention. The second one we have escape or avoidance. Don't worry, it's not there, but escape or avoidance. I will still explain that. And then we have tangibles, and then we have sensory or automatic reinforcement. And for attention, Okay, you're all looking at me. That's good. Who got the gist? If you got it, say yeah, yeah. I will not explain again. Do I need to explain? Why now? Okay, so a behavior or cause for attention now. A behavior occurs because the child wants to gain attention from their environment. And when I'm talking about environment, I'm referring to people, right? There was a particular experience, and I just finished a session with a child. I think there was a family gathering, and this particular child, we came out together, and no one was looking at the child. I was giving my feedback back to the parents, and this child looked at everyone and just fell to the ground and started crying. And then his mom was like, "Why are you crying?" And the child stopped and was very happy. What happened there? He wanted attention, right? Good. So that's the child did what? He fell down and he cried because he wanted attention. And that's a behavior functioning because of the child wants to gain attention from anyone that is. It's not everybody's attention the child may want, but the child may want a particular form of attention. In 2022, April 2022, today's 22nd. So 22nd of April 2022, myself and Mrs. Mabel and Miss Nkoye, we all went for an assessment, and this particular child was pouring water and looking at Mrs. Mabel and saying, "Stop it, stop it." And so the first what happened initially was she took the water, she poured it, and Mrs. Mabel looked at her and said, "Stop it." And then she's like, "This is new English." And she took the water and she poured it, and she was looking at Miss Mabel and she was like, "This group answered, give them star. They did not, this group did not answer. So give them star, please." I did not hear. So according to what I say, give them star. So she looked at Mrs. Mabel and said, "Again, give them another one." So she looked at Mrs. Mabel, said, "Stop it." And Mrs. Mabel looked at her and responded, "Yes, stop it." What happened? She didn't stop. Oh, she reinforced the behavior by giving her attention, right? And attention is not just about, so I'm using that example to help you understand that attention is not only about just when you turn your focus towards the child, it also has to do with what you say in response. You understand? It also has to do with what you say in response, right? If every single time a child, there are children that would do something and then you'd see them beat themselves, right? In a context. And they'll do like this and say, "Stop it," to themselves, right? That's also a behavior that functions for attention. So attention is not just always in relation to mommy or myself or any other, or the teacher turns towards the child and looks at the child. It also has to do in relation to responding, what you say, you understand. And sometimes some children would literally do certain things just for the sake of attention. Like the child that Mrs. Mabel said that is hitting chair. The moment he comes in, hit chair. Now that behavior may function for something else, right? But then it can also function for attention. Did we get it? I tried. Anyway, so the next one we're going to is escape. I said, or avoidance. Now, in the case of escape, certain children engage in behaviors, or children engage in behaviors because they want to leave an aversive situation. I say aversive. Aversiveness is not defined as how you define it. Aversiveness is defined by the child, right? So you're not defining a behavior based off, "But this is just simple assignment. Why can't you do it?" Or, "This is just simple handwriting. Why can't you do it?" Aversiveness is based off what the child feels is aversive. And so you cannot determine what the child finds aversive. Like the child I mentioned who will eat any food that does crank, 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 but will not eat the one that is doing shh, shh, shh. Right? What does he find aversive? He finds the soft foods unwelcoming. You understand? And so there are children who will see a particular activity and will not want to engage in the activity for any reason. They may not want to sit down. That's one behavior. They will just keep on moving. So sitting is a behavior. It may function for escape, or maybe because they don't want to engage in the activity, or the child may begin to scream because he doesn't want to engage in the activity, or he doesn't want the person around. Some children would actually, because they do not want a particular individual, they would scream. Um, in the clinic, we have one particular child. He will go into every room in the clinic. He will go into the playroom, he will go into the toddler space, but he will not go into the occupational therapy room. He will not for any reason. And if you push him, he will cry, not for any reason. And he will bite you too. So just be careful. So, but not for any reason, he would not do that. And why is that? Because he's trying to escape that situation, or he's trying to escape that context. I mentioned that it is either escape or avoidance. So let me explain the difference. Now, in the case of avoidance, I see the activity coming and I do what? I run away. Give them a star. I see the activity coming and I do what? I run away. Exactly. Now, in the case of escape, I'm already engaged in the activity, oh, but then maybe I turn my face one way and then what does the child do? Runs away. Exactly. That's the difference between escape. They are both similar. Sometimes they're used synonymously, but you can recognize them by their um, recognize them by the way they are being exhibited, right? Based off the context. There is always a context to escape or avoidance. And then we have tangibles. A child wants ice cream. He sees ice cream. He cannot say ice cream. What would he do? He will what? All those disruptive children say, "Mommy, why can't you buy me ice cream? Your mates are doing it." In Africa, try it. You will collect slippers. Anyway, so he sees ice cream. What happens? He cries. He can't say ice cream. And then, or sometimes some children will go as far as going to the um, what they call, they stand and then pick the ice cream and come to you. Or some children will do what? Would pick your hand and lead you to where the ice cream is. Now that's tangible, right? They are trying to gain access to something. Now, sometimes it's not just gaining access to something as per sweets, like we're all licking. It can also be gaining access to a place or an activity. So maybe there is a particular activity I like in that room, and we're in this room. I may cry. Maybe by the time I get there, the door is locked. Right? The door is locked, and I can't say open. I cannot say help. And what do? I will use the one I know how to do, and I will do what? I will cry. I will fall on the floor, and I may hit my head too, so that you will know it's serious. Right? And then the last one, sensory or automatic reinforcement. And these behaviors occur because they are intrinsically good. Let me use that phrase. They feel good. Who used to fidget? Never have I fidgeted. Say it. You've never say it. You can't. Hey, we know there are people that do it. So there are times you do this, right? There are times. There was a time I used to play with coins. Though I'll just have one coin. I'll just be. Mommy knows. Even this one, say if you are doing. Which other one? You do it now. On your feet. Give her specifically a star. Who again? Tell me what are that one? Mommy mentioned down. Yes, you are doing it. So those are behaviors that are just because they feel good. They are automatically reinforcing. But it's not that they occur out of context. in the case of our children with autism, some of these behaviors occur in relation to something that happened. It might be a behavioral response